Hi, my name is Kiri and welcome to my yoga series. Today I wanted to focus on foundations so that we can build a strong one and diminish the amount of injuries that could potentially happen during practice by having the right form and alignment and the tools that we need to begin our practice. So a couple of blocks are really helpful today. If you don't have that, a stack of book works, and then just your mat. And when you have that rolled out and you have your props ready, we'll begin. So today we'll begin in our comfortable seat. So find a nice easy cross. If you do have tight hips, that's a lot of us, take one of the blocks or a couple of books and just stack them underneath your bum. And that's going to help elevate your seat so that it's higher than your knees. That's going to make the easy cross a little bit more comfortable for you. And once you have that position, I want you to take your hands and just place them onto your thighs or your knees, whatever feels good. And then just take a couple of deep breaths while you're sitting up nice and tall. So just take a couple of breaths and just notice what that feels like when you're being conscious and aware of your breathing. I'm going to introduce you to the Ujjayi Pranayama, which is just a upwards victorious breath as a direct translation. But basically what that just means is that you're going to take a nice long inhale with the gentle constrictions at the back of the throat so that we can control the length of our inhales and exhales, thus having a breath per movement throughout our practice. So on your next inhale, think about constricting the back of the throat, taking a nice big breath in as if you're trying to get your neighbor to hear your breath. So take a nice big breath in through the nose, but still finding that gentle constriction to the back of the throat. And then exhale again, out through the nose. You're pushing the tongue up into the roof of the mouth, creating like a little pocket, and that's where you're finding that control. Take another big breath in. Exhale. Good. Another way to think about it is as if there's a mirror in front of your nose. You're trying to fog up that mirror with your nose using that exhale. So imagine, try to figure out what that, try and see what that feels like to see if you can get a sensation of what that is. Good. We'll take a couple more. Allowing yourself to expand your diaphragm and through your chest and lungs and your ribs. And then every time you exhale, pull the navel in towards the spine. Now do your best to maintain this breath the entire practice. And we do get tired. It is part of it. And know that if you do disconnect from this breath and your breath becomes short because you're tired, you can always find yourself in a child's pose. And a child pose is really nice. That's going to be a rest position that you can come to at any point so that you can reconnect with your breath and try to find that nice long Ujjayi Pranayama again. So I'll introduce you to child's pose. So that's going to be the next one. You're going to take yourself off the block and just set it aside. And then you're going to take your hands onto your mat and just take your legs all the way back behind you. Open up the knees nice and wide and then bring your toes together to touch. And then release the toes down, rest your forehead down, and extend the arms forward. So this is a child's pose. Knows that this is a safe space that you can always come to in your practice to reconnect. So whenever you're ready, slowly start to come up to your hands and your knees, and we'll get started in our cat-cows today. So have your knees right underneath the hips and then your wrists right underneath your shoulders. And then have a slight external rotation through the hands so that your index and middle finger are parallel to the front of the mat. And that's going to give your traps a little bit more space in the cat-cows or chaturanga. So on your next inhale, think about dropping the belly, lifting the tailbone, shoulder blades kind of come together, broad through the chest, look up even, inhale. And then as you exhale, push the earth away, dome the top of your back, really tuck the tailbone and chin underneath, and then really push the earth away through the hands, like you're really trying to separate the shoulder blades and push your spine up towards the sky. Inhale again, drop the belly, lift your tailbone as well as your gaze. Really pressing down through the fingertips, and then exhale again as you round things up. Good. So cat-cow is basically just that, going back and forth between those movements at the pace of your own breath. So if you'd like to close your eyes here and just acknowledge and notice how long your breath is. And just allow the movements to come as your breath comes in and out. Inhale here, and then exhale. Good. Keep at that. Maybe 2 more rounds. Gently come back into a nice neutral spine as you finish up that round. And then on your next inhale, you're gonna walk your hands forward and then walk your feet back. Hello, high plank. Good. So basically where your high plank is, I want you to just kind of pay attention, like look around at your body and its place on the mat. And then just kind of do a guess as to like where the blocks would be if one was to land on your chest and one was to land on your hips. So all you have to do from here is just drop the knees, take that first block and bring it to the medium setting and bring it maybe about 4 inches in front of the knees. And then same thing, maybe right behind the wrist line. And then you can pick yourself back up into plank. So the reason I did this is that one of the biggest injuries that happen is in the rotator cuff, in the shoulder head. So the reason for that is because when we come down in our Chaturanga Dandasana, we have a tendency to drop our shoulder heads too far down, putting too much weight into that rotator, and that can cause injury over time. So what I want you to practice here is take a nice big inhale breath and then reach like you're pushing into your hands a lot, separating the shoulder blades. Shift your weight forward. Take a nice big breath in here. And then as you exhale, slowly lower down, but keep the chest lifted and keep the elbows close to your rib cage. Good. Roll the elbows and shoulders back once your blocks land, and you can adjust the blocks as you need. And roll the shoulders and elbows back so that everything is pulled back towards the sky. Because the tendency here is if you do it without blocks and your shoulders drop down like this is where the injury occurs over time. So think about really keeping the shoulder heads lifted. And then from here, press into your hands and lift yourself back up. Good. And then exhale again. Practice again, lowering down. Elbows pointing straight back, keeping the chest and shoulder heads lifted. Good. Inhale again, lift yourself back up. Good. Last time. Exhale, lower yourself down. Good. From here, untuck the toes. And then for upward facing dog, you're going to just put your hands down firmly and then lift through your chest and make sure your shoulders are not here. That's going to hurt your shoulders as well. So lengthen the neck, push the earth away and squeeze your glutes. Yes. So instead of being really relaxed here, think about pushing down into the tops of the feet and squeezing the glutes. Good. We'll practice that one more time. Slowly lower down. Exhale. Good. And then inhale into Urdhva Mukha, upward facing dog. And then exhale. And then we're going to lift ourselves up into our downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, and then you're going to push yourself up in your push-up position. So again, shoulders, elbows back, lift yourself up, and then send your hips all the way up and back into your downward facing dog. So our downward facing dog, first intro, we're going to start with the feet. So pay attention to your feet. Make sure the heels are disappearing behind the toes and you're grounding through the heels as much as you can as you open up into those ankles and calves. So instead of having your knees bent, think about straightening the legs without locking out the knees. We never want to lock out joints. That can make people pass out. That's not fun. So keep the knees and a micro bend, but keeping the hips nice and high. So instead of having your pelvis tucked forward like this, like you did in cat pose, think cow butt, right? So really thinking about lifting the tailbone up, and that's gonna feel a big pull through the hamstrings, and I'm pretty tight, so I'm pretty much feeling it right there too. So once you have that, tailbone lifts, I want you to think about tractioning your spine. So instead of being here, your shoulders nice and relaxed, I want you to think about really shrugging your shoulders up towards your ears, and then pushing down into the top knuckles, like these ones right here, top knuckles of the palm, and then really push into your fingertips so it alleviates some of the weight from the wrists. So this is your downward facing dog. It's not going to be easy to find this position every single time, especially if we're moving quickly. So just know that the more you do this, the more your body will remember. So it's just about consistency, yeah? So on your next inhale, look forward towards the front block or your hands. And then as you exhale, take a step and another step forward so your feet end up between the blocks. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift as you lengthen the spine forward. So in this one, a lot of people have a tendency to look forward, but what does that do? That puts a kink in the neck, and the neck is a part of the spine. So we want to keep things nice and long. Pull the belly in, roll the elbows and shoulders back still, and then elongate the head forward. So the crown of your head is really reaching towards the front, and that's how you're going to find that nice long spine. So inhale, halfway lift. Adho Uttanasana, and then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. So this is where the blocks come in handy. If your hands can't touch the floor yet, you can have your hands on the block, have it support you there. And then we'll do that one more time. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. You can bring your hands to your shins or keep them on the block, depending on your flexibility. And then again, exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, hands up, look up as you reach, always having a micro bend in the legs as you come up. And then exhale again as you bring your hands all the way down by your hips, ending in Samastiti. Good. Let's go through that sun salutation nice and slow. Take a nice big breath and sweep the arms up. Inhale, breath. Exhale, forward fold. Let it all go to the floor, Uttanasana. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift, Auto Uttanasana. Exhale, hands down in the front of the blocks. Step both of your feet over the blocks behind you into your Chaturanga Dandasana. So shift the weight forward, inhale. Exhale, lower down halfway. Elbows and shoulders back. Undo the toes. Push down into the toes as you lift up through the chest. Tighten your glutes. Inhale, breath. And then as you exhale, lower yourself back down. Tuck the toes, push yourself up, and then send your hips all the way up and back into your downward facing dog. Good. One more breath here. Before you inhale, look forward again. Exhale, step your feet forward between the blocks. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift, Auto Mukha. Oh, Auto Uttanasana, sorry. And then exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Reaching the arms up all the way up towards the sky. And then exhale, release the hand down by your side, Samastiti. Good. We'll do chair pose from here. So on your next inhale, we're going to sit the hips back into chair and then extend the arms forward. So Utkatasana. So we're going to find a little bit of the cues here. So what I want you to do is I want you to bring the toes together with a small gap in the heels, squeeze the knees in towards each other. And then instead of having your glutes pulled back like we did in cow, think about having it tucked forward like we did in cat. And then sit back without the knees going way past the toes. So think about floating back just a little bit. And then a little arch through the upper back as you reach the arms forward and up, looking up towards the hands. Good. Take a nice big breath in here. Good. And then exhale, forward fold as you let it all come back down towards the ground. Same rules apply. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. You can keep the blocks there if you'd like that. And then exhale again, hands down in front of the blocks, send the feet back over the blocks if you still utilize them. And then again, try lowering down halfway with the support of the blocks. Roll over the toes, lift up through the chest, upward facing. And then exhale again as you lower yourself down, untuck the toes, lift yourself up and back into your downward facing dog. Good. We'll get into our warrior here. So on your next inhale, lift your right leg high. And then on your exhale, bring your knee towards your nose. As you shift the weight back forward into your hands, hold that for 3, 2, 1. And then step that foot forward to meet the hands. Good. So your front foot and that back foot are going to be in line with each other, but you're going to rotate that back foot down so that it's 45 degrees. So you have the option of it being heel to heel alignment or heel to midfoot alignment. Take the pick that is best for you. And then you're going to slowly come up. So warrior 1 basically means hips towards the front, Virabhadrasana. So basically what you're going to do is instead of having the hip open like this, think about really pushing that left hip forward. And if that's too much pressure on that back knee, you can bend that back knee or rotate that heel up. So once you have that position, left hip is facing forward, don't lose that bend in that front knee. And then again, see if you can tuck your pelvis forward, really pushing forward into that front left hip. And then reach the arms all the way up overhead. Look up if you can. Good. So this is Virabhadrasana 1. We're going to take a couple breaths here as we find strength as we hold. Good. One more breath. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, open it up. Arms open out to the sides. Left hip this time opens out to the left, and the right knee is going to want to come with you, so don't let it. Keep opening that over towards the right so that it favors the pinky toe, and I can only see the big one. And then same thing, rotate that left hip open so your hips are actively opening against each other. Head, chest, and hips are all in one line. Arms are slightly higher than the shoulders, and imagine someone pulling them in opposite directions. So this is Virabhadrasana 2. So be nice and strong in this. Same thing. This one kind of works everything in the body. So you draw the ribs in, Shoulder blades are coming back behind you. Breathe nice and big. You got 2 more here. So good. Last one. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, circle both hands all the way back down towards the ground. The back foot is going to pivot so that the entire heel comes up. And then the right foot is going to pick itself up and then lift itself all the way back over the blocks behind you into that plank. Once you have that plank, you're going to lower yourself down halfway onto the blocks if you're still using them. Roll over the toes, lift up through the chest, upward facing. And then exhale and send it all the way back into our downward facing dog. Okay, let's finish up on the left side. Inhale, reach the left leg high. And then exhale, knee to nose. And then step the foot forward between the hands. Good, so same thing. Front toes are pointing towards the front. And either heel and heel or heel to midfoot alignment for the back. Slowly rise on up to find that Virabhadrasana 1. But same thing. Right hip is really pulling forward as the left hip comes back. Push bigger into that left knee. Draw the ribs in. Tuck the pelvis forward. Reach the arms all the way up. Shoulders are still down away from the ears. Look up if you can, Virabhadrasana 1. 2 more big breaths. Beautiful, last one. Good, inhale here. And then exhale, open it up, warrior 2. So back foot pivot so that now the toes are pointing towards the right side of the room. Arms are open out to the sides. Shoulder blades are really rolling back. Head, shoulders, and hips are all in one line. Left knee is going to want to turn in. Don't let it do that. Open up that knee out to the sides. Take a nice big bend in that knee. Chest is nice and proud. Hands are slightly higher than the shoulders as you breathe here. Two more breaths. Really good. Last one. Good. Inhale here. And then exhale, cycle both of your hands back down towards the earth in front of you, framing the left foot. And then sending that left foot all the way back to meet the right. And then allowing yourself to lower down halfway, elbows close to the ribs. Roll over the toes as you lift up through the chest, upward facing. And then exhale, lower yourself back down, tuck the toes, lift yourself up, and back into your downward facing dog. Beautiful. On your next inhale, look forward towards the front of the mat. And then exhale, slowly walk your feet forward and find a comfortable seat. Great job. So that's going to be our our standing positions. And then we're going to begin with our sitting positions for the day. So we're going to extend our feet forward. We're going to start in Paschimottanasana, which is just an easy forward fold. And what you're going to do here is you're going to flex your toes all the way back towards your face. Keep your legs nice and straight. Untuck your booties underneath you so that it's a little bit more behind you than underneath you. So you have the ability to arch your lower back a little bit. And then once you have that, hinge forward without rounding. Reach through your toes or the feet or the ankles, whatever you choose, and just gently hinge forward. As long as your lower back is flat or slightly arched in the dorsal, you're going to feel that big tug happening through your hamstrings. So do your best to find your breath there. Take your time to slowly roll yourself back up to your comfortable seat. We'll just take a gentle counter by bending both of the knees and bringing our hands back behind us. If you do have rotator issues already, then have your fingers turned out towards the sides. Otherwise, have them facing towards you. Roll the shoulders and elbows back. Take a nice big breath in, and then push into your hands and your feet and lift the chest up towards the sky, throwing your head all the way back. Take a nice big breath in, and then exhale, lower yourself down. Good. We'll do that one more time. Inhale. And then exhale, lower down. Beautiful. From there, we're going to just gently find ourselves coming down onto our backs, and we're going to find ourselves in our bridge. So what you're going to do, you're going to lay yourself all the way down onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug to start. Roll out the lower back by making some big circles with the knees, going in one direction and then the other. And then we'll find ourselves in our bridge. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring both of our feet down onto our mats, tuck the shoulder blades underneath our upper back so that we have a nice flat platform there. And then from there, please do not try to get your knees to open up as you lift your hips up towards the sky. So have your knees pointing straight forward so it's tracking in the same direction as your toes. From there, take a nice big inhale here. Roll the hips all the way up towards the sky. Think chest to chin. Think nice and long through the back of the neck. If you'd like, place your hands behind your lower back and pull the knuckles down towards your heels, please do so. But wherever you are, breathe nice and big, thinking hips high for 4 more. Good. 3 more. 2. Good. Last one. Good. Inhale, hips high. And then exhale, roll it down. Good. Release the hands. Good. We'll bring the knees back into your chest one at a time. Give yourself a nice big hug. Good. I will introduce a very easy inversion today. If going upside down is not really a thing, I totally understand. This is not necessary. It is just for fun if you do enjoy inversions to any degree. So what you're going to do is you're going to just have your legs straight up towards the sky. And all you're going to do from there is take your feet overhead and then take your hands on your bum and just slowly start to peel your back off the ground. But please don't turn your head. You're going to keep looking up towards the sky the entirety of the time you're doing this. And then you're going to walk your hands up your back. And the higher your hands are able to go, the more you're able to lift your torso up towards the scales, towards the sky. So once you have that, think about really pressing your hips forward as you point your toes up towards the sky. We'll point your feet up and then flex your toes back. They're called yogi toes. And we'll find this line here. Breathe nice and big. See if we could find 4 more. Last 3. 2 more. Last one. Inhale here. And then exhale, slowly lower the toes while still using the support of your hands against your lower back towards the floor. If you're like right here, that's totally okay. If your toes touch, great. You can take your hands and lace them against the floor and find full plow pose. If you're like, this is not accessible for me today, you could just bring your hands all the way down and then just have your feet wherever they float. And then take your time to slowly lower the back, 1 vertebrae at a time. Before giving your knees another hug into your chest. Beautiful. We'll just close out the practice with one final pose, and it's going to be our supine twist. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick up your hips and bring them over to the left a bit, bring both knees back into your chest, and then bring your knees to the right. You'll look over towards the left side to help keep that left shoulder on the mat. Decompress your lower back a little bit in this position here. If you know that you have L4, L5 disc issues, a twist is considered a contraindication, so I wouldn't advise by it. But if it feels okay for you, just make sure you're listening to your body and do what feels best. Good. 1 more breath here. And then slowly start to bring your head back to middle. You should bring both of your knees back to middle, 1 at a time. And then again, lift your hip a little bit, hike it over towards the right. Both knees come back into your chest. Knees fall left as you turn your gaze to the right. And then again, breathe here nice and big, without the expectation that your body will feel the same on either side. Because we use the sides differently, right? We always have a dominant side. So we'll take one more breath in and out. And take your time to slowly bring your head back to middle, bring your knees back to middle. Give yourself one last big squeeze as you bring your forehead up to meet your knees. Take a nice big breath in. Squeeze the body with all of your might. Hold your breath at the top for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Let the breath go. Let the body go. As you extend the legs and maybe the arms up overhead. If this feels really vulnerable for you today and it feels a little exposed, you can take one hand over the belly, one hand over the heart for a little bit of support. Wherever you land, this is kind of the meditative space for you to close out the practice in. I don't suggest skipping it because there is a reason for it, right? So if yoga is the practice that kind of encompasses and shows you how you live your life, Shavasana is kind of the end of the practice that you come into your deathbed or corpse pose, hence the translation, where you can reflect on how you lived in the last 20 minutes, 1 hour, however long the practice was. So it's just a moment of reflection. It should take a little bit of time in silence to listen to your body, acknowledge what has come up for you. I should just take a moment to actively rest and just to let go and to be. So as you take this final moment to be with yourself, even in the shortest of times, just acknowledge what has come up, because yoga has a tendency to reveal ourselves to us in ways that we couldn't have imagined. So if something did spark today, just acknowledge and notice it. If you've noticed things that you'd like to change, know that you have the power to do so. And as you slowly start coming back to, wiggle through your fingers, wiggle through your toes, maybe invite another big breath in. And if one last full body stretch does call to you today, reach the arms up overhead, reach through your toes. And then allow yourself to bring your knees into your chest and roll over to your favorite side to find yourself in that comfortable fetal position. Because the fetal position is a marker as well. It represents how we can come back. We all entered the world this way. So how can we reset and come back and shape the day in a way that works for us? And as you take these final moments, invite a nice big breath in and a breath out before you slowly push yourself up to your comfortable seat. Once you've made it to your comfortable seat, take one hand over the heart, one hand over the belly. Find gratitude for the body, the practice, the reflections, and anything that might have come up for you today. And thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your journey, from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you at the next one.